Hi Michael, so just wanted to go over some of the pieces that we've worked on, and as always, um, really great stuff that you do with Dana, a ton of respect for him and the stuff that you're doing, and always enlightening being able to learn from, in my opinion, one of the best instructors in the world. So really just want to kind of give you my take and a couple of my um, feelings on how, just a different way of hearing it, how to really keep doing the stuff that you've been doing with Dana, and again, just maybe a different way of hearing it. So the video on the right here is just taken, I think, a couple of months ago, a month and a half ago from YouTube, and some of the tendencies that we'd start to see were a little bit similar. So we start to see that as you start getting to the top of the swing, okay, so he's going to start to monitor that the type of ball flight we want really is going to be dictated by where the butt of the club is starting to pass through the hands, pass through the bicep or in the right arm into the downswing. So we can see as we get to halfway in the backswing, it passes pretty much middle of the bicep up here. And the problem that we're going to start seeing is, and I'm going to go over some of these details, is that as it continues and it starts to go into the downswing, we start to see how the butt of the club passes much higher up through almost up towards the right shoulder, shifting that left arm much further out onto the toe line halfway into the downswing. Now, knowing the shot that you want to hit, and you want to kind of hit these high draws, you have to start either dumping the wrist angles or trying to tilt the axis, tilt the upper center back. So some of the stuff that we did here on the left was really starting to get you to feel like you keep doing the stuff that you've been doing as you get to around A2 and get to approximately 2.5. But the pieces that I really wanted to start being able to clean up here with you was to feel that from approximately this position, that the arms don't keep loading across your torso, but it's actually going to be the feeling of the hip and the torso keeping moving, both turning and extending all the way to the top, is what's going to get this butt of the club to keep tracing upward and inward on its inclined angle. So you start to see how the spacing between the left arm and the chest, I really want to stay even. If anything for you, it feels like it gets bigger. So as you get to the top of the swing, you start to see how that the left arm still in nicely, and the butt of the club is passing pretty much through the middle of the bicep. Again, you can kind of see the hip slants a little sharper and a little longer. We carried on cleaning these pieces up as you've done with Dana. Okay, so this is where you start to see how the hip segment and the torso stop and stall, and so the left arm keeps loading, almost overloading across your torso, giving you less time and space in the downswing to unload them, being the wrist angles and the left arm across the chest. So this is where we'll start to see on the right, so the left arm comes out too much, you start to see how shallow the shoulder alignments become. I know you've been working with Dana on keeping the left shoulder down longer. This is where we'll start to see on the left, the sensation we had was keeping your left shoulder against a wall, and that it can move toward the target. You can move your centers and your weight towards the target in this direction, and if you want, you can have it going slightly down the wall, but at no time could you have the left shoulder moving away from the wall. So you had to keep it on the wall and moving towards the target and down. Again, because of the sequencing of the accumulators in the torso and the downswing, you start to see how the left arm can stay in longer, and the butt of the club actually stays passing through the middle of the bicep. And again, start to see how the shoulders start to stay steeper in the downswing, as well as the hips pieces as well. Okay, so as we continued, and now, because the arms haven't overloaded, what you're able to do is keep the left arm much lower and more down. So you really start to see here the vertical plane of the left arm is much straighter down, instead of it being too far out and again too high. So now you have to start dumping the wrist angles to get to the ball, and actually start to see how the handle is going to lower and keep going down. So from this piece on the left here, now you're able to really just get the pieces to unload into the ball and actually start kicking in the thrust pieces. You really see thrust happening a little faster, and the club starts to exit higher again, and notice no roll on this club face here. Rather than on the left, it keeps moving down and across. Club exits lower with a little bit more roll. So the front on view here, so we can see what we were doing, and again this is was the extreme sensation, was to feel like as you get to the top you make the biggest shoulder turn without the angles loading too far across your chest. Okay, notice how the wrist angle was also wider. So now as you started to move, just change this, as you started to move the transfers forwards, you could keep that left shoulder down longer and really start to increase some of the leverage into the downswing. And what that started to give you was the outward component for the ball flight, for the D-play, and the outward component was becoming from the down. So because you're able to increase your angle of attack onto the golf ball, you're able to hit down on it a couple of degrees to give you the out, not because you've uncocked the club and have it swinging and doing it from the path, which would sometimes happen, or you'd start lowering the handle and you could hit toe deflected cuts. So you start to see here how you're able to have much more leverage into the ground, then you just keep thrusting it all the way into the follow through. So really nice job there, again feeling very much like you had the shoulder turn and the hip segment. From that extension is going to keep the club tracing inward, getting the butt of the club to pass through the bicep without it overloading, so you could really start to change the sequencing of how everything stays down and loads into the downswing. So now you can start thrusting from here. So really good job, and I hope you had fun. Just keep it up, Mike.